Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
Today is Kiara Windrider. Kiara is a psychotherapist, author, and poet. He's a healer and explorer of mystic and shamanic paths. He spent much of his life traveling and practicing various spiritual traditions in India. A lifelong interest in environmental healing, peacemaking, and social justice has led him to a dual degree in peace studies and international development in North Newton, Kansas. Later, he completed a graduate program in transpersonal counseling psychology through JFK University, California. And Kyra is an author of Homo Lumius, a manual for awakening human, and Gaia Lumius, Emergence of the New Earth. And today his topic is Cycles of Gaia Awakening. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, welcome, Kiara Windrider.
Well, wonderful to be here with all of you. So I'll just jump right in. I think most of us are aware that we are going through an amazingly complex and beautiful time on this earth. It's a mystery. Where are we going? Where did we come from? And what's the options in front of us as we journey forward? And I'm going to speak about this in terms of galactic cycles, universal cycles, solar cycles, planetary cycles, and see how they converge together. Because this is really important for us to become aware of so we can have choices. So let's start with the big picture. So let's go all the way out to galactic cycles. What scientists tell us now is that the galaxy has a pulse. So just like all of us have a heartbeat, so our galaxy also has a heartbeat. So every 12,000 years, there's a pulse of light that emanates out from the center of our galaxy in the form of cosmic rays and gamma rays. And it's not just our galaxy. Every galaxy has its own pulse and they're synchronized together. And as these galactic pulses move through different solar systems, and specifically our solar system, every 12,000 years, what happens is there's a very complex cycle of events that begins to happen within our solar system. There's an entry, well, first of all, the outer magnetic sheath around the solar system begins to break down. And then what happens is a entry of immense amounts of cosmic dust into our solar system, which is gravitationally attracted by the sun. And that leads to solar events. Some refer to this as solar flashes or solar micronova. It's similar to what happens with a star at the end of its life, but it's not. It's the outer sheath of the sun that disengages and moves out through the solar system. When this wave passes through the Earth, what happens is that it leads to a collapse of the Earth's magnetic field. Now, this is already starting to happen. In the last 200-300 years, scientists have been telling us that the magnetic field of the Earth has gradually been weakening. In the last 50 or 100 years, this has become an exponential weakening. And in the last 10 years or so, it's become really geometrical. So it's like nothing ever experienced in the past 12,000 years. So it's interesting that this cycle of magnetic weakening and collapse is related to the cycle of the galactic superwave. It's related to a solar cycle. All of these are synchronized as 12,000 year cycles. Some of you may remember the last time this happened. The last time this wave came through. For many people, if you remember, they talk about the collapse of the Atlantean kingdom, the sinking of large land masses below the seas, the rising of new land emerging from the ocean. And we're in exactly that stage right now, where there's major cataclysmic events that could happen. There's magnetic collapses followed by reversals that could also happen. And this is normal. This happens every 12,000 years or so. And this leads to evolutionary leaps. So this cycle of collapse and reversal of the Earth's magnetic field is directly tied in to the next phase of an evolutionary leap forward. It's related also to the cycle of the yugas that Sri Yukteswar and many Hindu mystics talk about. And it's related to what's called the Milankovitch cycles. Now, the question is what actually happens when there's a magnetic reversal? When I was traveling in South America many years ago, I happened to meet with one of the Mayan elders, Don Alejandro Cirillo, who's a daykeeper in the Mayan tradition. And he spoke a lot about the big Mayan prophecy, which had nothing to do with the ending of the Mayan calendar, but had much to do with what they call the 3 days of darkness. And this is in many traditions. Inca, Hopi, Maya, many Christian traditions talk about this. The Egyptian traditions talk about this. Serbian traditions talk about this. So this 3 days of darkness, what does it mean? And what I came to understand is that this is very connected with this time of magnetic reversal. What does it mean for us now? We're very close to this. Like I said, we're going through a weakening process that's exponential. And it's possible that within the next decade or two, we'll actually go through a complete collapse followed by either a reversal or an excursion. An excursion is when they don't flip completely but move to new positions. But this is already happening. The north and south polar axis is already shifting. It's no longer in its original position. It's already moved quite a distance and is happening faster and faster every year. Now this affects us as biological systems. You know, you may be familiar with different bodies as they coexist and connect together. We have the physical body. We also have the etheric body or the prana body that surrounds the physical body and maintains it. And then we have the emotional and mental bodies, which are subtle and connected to the astral fields. Finally, we have the causal body, which is the seat of the soul. And all these bodies are synchronized together, and all of them are linked to the Earth's magnetic field. So when the Earth's magnetic field begins to collapse, what also happens is that the connection between these 5 bodies, the Maya koshas, begins to also weaken and collapse. And so there's a period of time when our normal ability to think, to feel, to act, to remember begins to falter. And many of us are already experiencing this. There's major collapses in terms of our physical health and wellness. Many of us have problems with memory, can't remember things anymore. We're going through a lot of awakenings, changes within our physical, emotional bodies, not all of it easy. And at the same time, this is the prelude to something that's huge. There's a potential for a new evolutionary process as never before experienced. One of my teachers, Sri Aurobindo, and the mother have spoken about this quite a bit. They talk a lot about the fact that humans are still in a process of evolution. We are not finished as a species, thank goodness. Look what we've done to the earth. And if this was to continue on, we would destroy each other, destroy this planet. But he says that there's another stage of evolution to come. And this next stage of evolution has to do with a reorientation between these 5 bodies. So what happens is that as these bodies, the relationship between these bodies starts to weaken and collapse, the field that we consider as what we call duality, which is imprinted as a conditioning within our mental field, begins to also collapse. We're going through this now. So the first thing that happens is that everything that needs to be released comes up to the surface. And we're seeing this big time. What's happening in 2020 is an intensification of this field of duality. Everything that could possibly be hidden in our collective psyche is being brought to the surface. And the next thing that happens is, as we go through this magnetic collapse, the reversal, it's a difficult phase, the 3 days of darkness, as the Mayans call it. It's not easy on the personality structures, but at the same time, what happens is it opens up the personality so that a new frequency of soul can be incarnated. And this is why we're all here. And there's millions of us here on this planet right now, from across the galaxies. We've chosen to be here at this time because this is the most pivotal time we can imagine. Many advanced souls are here just for this moment. And we are here to also support Gaia, support the Earth in making choices which could assist us in this next wave of evolution. So it's up to us. We're changing timelines. We're opening to new potentials. What is it going to be? And our choices impact the collective field of Gaia. Our choices are a collective wave that begin to ripple out across the Earth. And then when the new polarization takes place, so when the Earth reverses its magnetic axis, and reorients itself in the opposite direction. We're talking about the magnetic poles, not the physical poles. If you're talking about geographical poles, that's major catastrophe. It's not about that. We're talking about the reversal of the magnetic polarity, which is the reorientation, a reset of our physical and spiritual consciousness. So every time this has happened in the past, and we can map this, we can chart this in 12,000-year cycles. Every time this has happened in the past, there's extinction events followed by new evolution. The extinction events have already happened. Look at what humans have done to this planet. It's all a part of it. Sometimes I suffer because I imagine what Gaia is going through. But I also realize that this is part of her own evolution. This is a phase that we've assisted her in moving through. And then as the reversal takes place, new species are born. And how this happens, as we go through the magnetic collapse, the magnetic field or the magnetic sheath around the Earth also collapses, the Van Allen belts. And these Van Allen belts are responsible to protect the Earth from incoming cosmic rays. If these cosmic rays bombarded the Earth to a great extent, it would destroy everything. It would create mutations. It would create, you're all familiar with mutations. When mutations happen through nuclear power or nuclear weaponry, it can destroy our genetic codes. But there's a difference between mutations that take place haphazardly and mutations that happen under the control and direction of the consciousness we call Gaia. And this is something that does happen periodically. So when the Earth's magnetic field collapses, we have this massive amount of cosmic rays, galactic rays, solar rays bombarding the Earth. We receive this and we transduce this. So we as humans have the responsibility through our own nervous system to receive galactic frequencies from supramental forces through our bodies into the Earth to assist Gaia in this next phase of awakening. And so it's an alchemical process. And what happens energetically and vibrationally is that she's preparing now for next phase of evolution. So those of us who can feel those invisible currents at work, you're aware that there's something going on now. There's something happening behind the scenes that's invisible to the eyes, invisible to the mind, and has to do with something bigger than ourselves. This is what Gaia is about. What happens when when there's a magnetic collapse, there's one more thing that's important. When there's a magnetic collapse, it releases a substance known as DMT. So what happens at the moment of death when someone dies? The heart stops. The heart, as Alexander was saying, is the center of the Merkaba, the sacred geometry that links the physical body to the subtle bodies. When the heart stops, this magnetic field collapses. And that collapse releases DMT somehow into the pineal gland. This release of DMT then acts as a doorway through which the soul can travel out and open to new doorways. And this is collectively what we're moving towards now. So as the magnetic field collapses for the entire planet, it's a release of collective release of DNA for all of us, humans, higher animals, even plant species. And what this does, it opens up doorways between the worlds so that with this entry of cosmic rays entering into the Earth's field, we can use this cosmic radiation not for destruction, but for new creation. So this is how Gaia has been evolving. And we have a part to play. So we can consciously co-create, co-evolve with her as the nervous system of Gaia. That's our role. Humans have become a cancer on the face of the earth. We have destroyed our own home. And there's so much we can say about that, but we all know all this. But at the same time, our true role from the perspective of Gaia is to be the nervous system that connects galactic frequencies to the heart of Gaia, to allow her to open to new possibilities. And this is what we're here for. So there's a quantum shift on its way. We're all part of that. And it's an amazing time to be here. It's an amazing journey. It's so beautiful that we can share this journey together, to be here on Earth at this time, to support each other, to grow together, and hope. We're not talking about a false hope based on Pollyanna. We're talking about a recognition that we are part of something much greater, based on the knowing that there's galactic forces working with us and through us now. There's elemental forces working with us and through us now. And this is the most exciting thing I can imagine. So for those of you who would like to pursue this further, check out my books, Homo Luminous and Gaia Luminous. It's about the next species. Homo Luminous is the next species that's emerging. Sri Aurobindo referred to the sun-eyed children of a new dawn, the divine human, or the supramental humanity. Gaia Luminous represents the new phase of evolution for Mother Earth, where we are moving from the consciousness of matter to a mental consciousness, to a supramental consciousness, beyond the mind, where humans begin to evolve to this ability to perceive, which brings together heart, soul, mind, body in a way that's never been done before. So this is our challenge, and it's our opportunity to step forward. And it's very touching.
Thank you, Kiara. Thanks a lot. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Very great enlightenment to all the viewers watching you across the world. So, excellent.
Thank you. I'd also invite people to check out my website, kiarawindrider.net.
You can chart.
So this information you can find on that.
Yeah.